Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Weird Spins. This time I'm going to do another metal record. Suicide Silence, You Can't Stop Me. This was the first album where Eddie Hermida took over after the untimely death of Mitch Lucker, the more prominently known vocalist for this incredible extreme metal band. Uh, this is an orange vinyl limited pressing. There are a bunch of different variants out there. This one was very inexpensive for a time, so I was able to fortunately get this for a very low cost. It's a really good, really heavy album. The title track on it has one of the greatest music videos you will ever see on YouTube, so be sure to Google that. It's absolutely hilarious. You would never imagine that an extreme metal band would produce a hilarious video, but they did, and make sure you stick around after the song is actually over for the extended ending for a fun little cameo that's in it. Uh, After Mitch Lucker passed and Eddie came in this album, the extreme style is retained. So it's really growly, really screamo, really just incredibly intense vocals, very mathematical music, very precision music, very heavy and over the top. So I mean, you can really pound to this. It's an amazing record. They followed this with a self-titled album. So now here's where I'm probably going to have people come at me. Go ahead, come at me. Uh, I'm coming to this record's defense because apparently some people on YouTube, other channels, including some channels that I really like, and I like their authors and creators, I think are brilliant creatives, they went after the album because it had a different sound. They kind of took it back a step and toned down and did some clean vocals and melodic vocals and things. And I still think that self-titled record is a great record, and it's still heavy AF, in a lot of places. And since then, they've stepped back into their more traditional style. So, by all means, this group, even with lineup changes, even with a different vocalist, even with everything that's happened, should not be abandoned. And if you listen to that record and you didn't dig it because it wasn't what you were expecting, uh, I'm going to put it the way that I would with horror pictures. For example, I saw a picture called Revenge of the Dead back in the day, and it had a one sheet for it, the movie poster that looked rather like the poster for City of the Walking Dead or Dawn of the Dead or that kind of thing. And it was a mellow kind of thriller thing with no gore in it. And it turns out that it was actually more of a sci-fi piece almost called Zader. When I saw the picture, I hated it. And the reason I hated it was because it wasn't what I was expecting. I went in thinking I'm going to get one thing and it delivered another. But, later on, I came to really love this movie because it's a really good movie. And it's because I understood more of how it had been retitled and repackaged and marketed for purposes of just kind of bringing an audience to it in a way. And it didn't really change what the quality of the film was. It was that my expectations had been let down on a different level. It was kind of false marketing on it. So sometimes with bands, people kind of think of things in that way, like it's false marketing, but look at it more this way. People are evolving and growing and changing and going through changes. These folks just lost somebody. That's really hard. And so they put together this album in the style of the original guy, pretty much, and then changed directions one album after that. And some of his lyrics are on this. They retained some of the material that was in progress and completed and finished it for him on this record. So the record that followed it kind of started to go in new directions and people got mad. This is human beings expressing themselves artistically. Don't get mad. Do yourself a favor, step back. And unfortunately, I don't have a copy of the album to display because I haven't run across one yet, but I've streamed the whole thing online. I've listened to it, and through official channel because I want to be supportive. And I like it, and I think it deserves to be given a second chance, but with new ears and not going, oh, I expect this, expect something else. and just absorb it for what it is. Think of it as a different band. Give it a different name in the back of your head if you need to do that to be able to kind of get the vibe of it. It's like a lot of people reacted that way to Opeth because of Opeth, suddenly going through changes when they released Damnation, and all of a sudden they've got this record out there that was, it sounds almost like an almost unplugged album fronted by David Gilmour, and people were like, this isn't Opeth. Opeth has got extreme metal with acoustic passages and the occasional clean vocal. Oh yeah, it's by all means Opeth. Now people sometimes will complain because the newest album, In Cauda Venenum, sounds like Pink Floyd meets King Crimson, and there's these Reed and Woodwind sounds, and a lot of Hammond organ and a lot of Mellotron, and it's all clean vocals, and hell yeah, it's still Opeth. In fact, it's one of the best Opeth albums ever. It's just the evolution of the band and going more and more in the direction that I think that they were built to go, because they were a very technical band to begin with, and a band that was filled with a lot of drama and a lot of theater. So you shouldn't really necessarily slam artists, is what I'm getting at, if they change gears at some point. This album was almost like wrapping up the end of an era for these guys, and then they followed it with something that was different. And then afterwards, they kind of found their footing, and I don't know that it's necessarily for purposes of just trying to get back in the scene or the graces of their audience, or if they're just doing because obviously they were into it before, they're into it again, and so they've got that vibe going, and they're heavy as can be again. But, because they did that, I don't think that record should be attacked. I think if anything, it should be admired because they had the guts to do it, and, give them some cred for that, and give it a listen. If you gave it a listen before and you didn't like it, give it a listen one more time now that there's been some distance and separation, and try to keep these things in mind, and try to be a little bit more fair to it, because you might find that, observing it from a new perspective and not having a certain specific expectation, you'll find something that you really like there. That's it for Weird Spins, and we'll see you again real soon.